Hello, welcome back to the Fruit of Grisaia. This is long and very complicated situation with Makina we're in right now. On the days when she works at the bakery, I quietly follow her on the way over, and in the evenings I wait outside to walk her home. It's starting to become a normal part of my day. When I slip out of the school's front gate a little after Makina, I never fail to spot a certain silver station wagon following her. Presumably more observers from that IGS detective agency. First time I casually glanced in through the side window, I noticed that the man holding the steering wheel wasn't that now Yuuji Ihara guy who screwed up last time. Idiots clumsy enough to get their wallets stolen while following a target presumably get reassigned to pushing paper around. I felt a small twinge of conscience, passed quickly though. I don't know who the new guy in charge is, but since he was given the job after the dunce failed, he's most likely a pretty competent investigator. On top of which, we've now got 2 men assigned to the case. From what Sakaki tells me, the people employing IGS are indeed connected to the Branch family. In short, they're probably trying to determine whether Makina is obediently keeping her head down, looking for any evidence of her coming into contact with the main family. The silver station wagon follows a good distance behind Makina until reaching the shopping district, at which point the man sitting in the passenger seat gets out. While the driver takes the vehicle around to park in an hourly lot on the other side of the station, then leans the seat back and lies down. It's what they call a package drop at my workplace. Since they've got 2 men on the job now, the observer and his driver seem to have a clear division of labor, makes it easier to deal with sudden or unforeseen developments. Might seem slightly excessive just to keep an eye on Makina, but the bulk of their work actually seems to be investigating the people who enter the bakery where she works. The owner and his wife would already have been thoroughly checked, so instead they're photographing every single customer who stops by with a digital camera. I forgot that it's pronounced like that. They keep it up continuously from 9 in the morning till later than 5 in the evening. Photographing. When Makina goes out to deliver bread, the man in the car heads over to her destination, while his partner continues watching for customers in her absence. It must be ridiculously dull work, but they're very consistent and conscientious. Clearly, a private detective's life isn't all thrills. But despite this obsessive investigation, they haven't found any suspicious individuals coming into contact with Makina. If there's a reason besides stubbornness that the Branch family hasn't called off the surveillance at this point, Sakaki speculates it might have something to do with me. Looking into the people around Makina would naturally mean they pursued a thorough round of inquiries into the identities of those related to her school as well. The principal would be first on the list, but it no doubt included the visiting lecturers and the contractors who maintain the facilities. Sakaki, Amare, Michiru, and Sachi can't have been an exception. Okay. And among all these, there's one and only one individual whose investigation would have turned up absolutely nothing. Myself, Kazami Yuuji. Of course, I do have a profile. Anyone with a bit of knowledge about these things would find it suspicious at a single glance, but there aren't any conclusive flaws or contradictions. My papers are clean and beautiful as driven snow. There must be someone over there who didn't like that overly tidy, blatantly prepared personal history. That would seem the most likely explanation for the way they're dragging out this fruitless surveillance of Makina's surroundings. They're probably aware that this investigation isn't getting anywhere, but they're not prepared to back down until they get a read on me. I'm sure IGS isn't too broken up about this state of affairs, since they're no doubt getting paid well for their dull but easy work. On the other hand, the Branch family must be getting pretty aggravated by the deadlock. If we can't finish the investigation, why not just remove the need to investigate? I don't know who made that call, but today the routine is finally broken. In the early evening, I'm making my way over to the bakery to pick that up Makina when I notice a black sedan surging up the road ahead, the classless roaring of its exhaust system drawing louder and louder as it approaches. That's not the only reason the car stands out. All the side windows are covered with dark black film, and it's so low to the ground it's probably a cut spring. Zigzagging across the road to avoid a manhole cover, the car screeches to a halt in front of Makina's bakery, and before I can do anything but start in surprise, the window on the passenger side abruptly slides open. You've got to be kidding me. As I take a first hurried step forward, my scalp burning with a sudden surge of panic. The muzzle of an automatic appears from inside the car. I've been too happy-go-lucky. It's not so complicated from their perspective, is it? Eliminating Makina solves their problem in a single step. And of all the cliched, simplistic ways to do it, I hadn't even considered the possibility. For a moment, as soon as the last endure, all I could do was curse my negligence. As the attackers speed past, I turn to memorize the number and make of their car. There's a sticker on the rear window with the words Team Blood Cherry under a crude sketch of a skull holding a cherry bomb in its teeth. A biker gang? It's also possible that they're pros in a stolen vehicle, pretending to be gangsters as a cover, but that's not what matters right now.
Papa!
Makina, you're alright. Any injuries?
今の何？なんかうるさいのが来たと思ったらいきなりパンパンってお店の窓ガラス割られちゃったのよさ。
Calm down. It was just some idiots from a biker gang screwing around. More importantly, you weren't injured.
奥の調理場にいたから怪我はないけど。何なの？暴走族？
In any case, let's get back inside for the moment. A drive-by shooting is a lot like a bombing. By which I mean the safest place you can be is one that's been hit already. There aren't many idiots who will plug another bullet right where they fired the first one. When I enter enter the bakery with Makina. The owner is cradling a telephone against his shoulder, desperately explaining that shots were fired through his window. From the tone of his voice, it's clear he's talking to the police. The nearest neighborhood station is right outside Mishima Cape Station, not even 200 meters away as the crow flies. They should be here in minutes. Please don't let it be that guy again. At times like these, my bad premonitions are depressingly accurate. Last thing I want to deal with right now is my good friend Officer Sourface and his usual barrage of sarcasm and suspicion. Time to get moving. Under the circumstances, I was expecting a little resistance if Makina tried to leave as usual. But when the girl asks, "Can I go home now?" her employer just nods and says, "Good night." Now that the terror has faded, the man seems to have worked up a good bit of outrage over the damage to his shop. He's too busy shouting at the policeman on the other end of the line to worry about anything else. Alright, let's go home. Despite her dopey personality, Makina's got sharp instincts. She surely figured out by now that the bullets fired into the shop weren't a random prank. A gloomy expression settled onto her face. I fall into step next to the girl, then wrap an arm around her shoulders and pull her close in a casually protective gesture. 4 bullets were fired in the direction of the shop. The first hit their signboard, the second and third penetrated the glass in the front show windows, ultimately lodging in the rear walls of the bakery. The fourth hit a plastic bucket in the alleyway outside. Most likely, they weren't fired at any particular target. The point of the shooting was to intimidate and threaten the people inside. In other words, it was simple harassment. A warning to the effect of, "We could kill you at any time if we needed you dead." Of course, the intent of the attackers doesn't change the fact that potentially deadly bullets were fired at her store. It's no consolation in the slightest. Should this simple but effective threat convince Makina to quit her job at the bakery, it'd minimize her contact with the outside world and reduce the time wasted on fruitless investigations. For the Branch family, it was probably a minor risk well worth taking. Are you alright? Makina's been trudging along silently at my side for some time, looking down at the pavement below. She hasn't said a word since we left the bakery.
嫌だな。私と一緒にいる人はいつも迷惑するのよさ。
As if there's a single person in the world who isn't causing trouble for someone.
でも鉄砲で撃たれるような迷惑をかける子なんて私ぐらいなのよさ。
There was a driver in that car with her sister, not that I'm going to remind her.
やっぱり私家に戻った方がいいのかな。その方が誰にも迷惑かけないのかな。
Maybe so, but you don't want to go back, do you?
うん。
Then you don't have to.
でも
Not to worry. I'll make sure this sort of thing doesn't happen again.
どうするの？何をする気なのパパ。やめてよ。 よ。危ないことはしないで。お願いだよ。
It's nothing particularly dangerous. I'm just going to get the police to give this their full attention.
警察に？
It's an organization that exists to keep law-abiding citizens safe and secure. Only normal to rely on them at times like these, right?
うん。
Nothing to worry about. Leave it to me.
うん。
To be honest, my employer has a tendency not to view relying on the police favorably. I don't personally enjoy begging them for favors myself. But the organization exists, and it's powerful enough once it gets moving. Not making use of them would be foolish. Once we've made our way back to the dorm, I entrust the query to press Makina to Komini Sechi. I also considered the option of leaving this to Amane, but I decided our class representative would be the better choice this time. My reasoning concerns what you might call Sachi's peculiar virtues. Specifically, a certain quickness on the uptake characteristic of an experience made and a modesty to refrain from asking too many questions. When I abruptly show up and ask her to look after Makina, the girl doesn't request even the briefest of explanations.
はい、お任せください。
Instead, she nods her assent without even a moment's hesitation. Things wouldn't have gone nearly as smoothly with Amane. When it comes to Makina, the woman's something of a worrywart. She wouldn't be able to help barraging us with questions. Although I'm sure Amane would eventually understand the matters best left alone, it would bother her so much that she'd end up getting gloomy too. That might leave Makina feeling even worse than before. I'll have to explain what happened to Amane and the others in due time, but for the moment leaving it to Sachi is probably the optimal choice.
Maki ちゃん、私のお部屋に来る？ミルクココアを入れようか。うん。ありがとう、サチ。
Sachi turns around with a flutter of her long skirt, gently rests a supportive hand on Makina's back, and heads for her room. For just an instant, the class representative looks back over her shoulder, her face expressionless as ever, and fixes her clear eyes on mine. I'd like to hear the circumstances later. She doesn't make a sound, but I hear the words clearly enough. I nod briefly, then make my way up the stairs and head toward a certain room. Sagaki, it's me. Me, your grandson. I'm in trouble. Please transfer 1 million yen to the following bank account.
詐欺なら他を当たってちょうだい。私は忙しいのよ。
Sorry to interrupt, but please open the door. This is urgent. There's a brief moment of what seems like hesitation on her part, but soon the lock clacks open.
一体何なの？急用って。
I'm bleeding from my crotch and it just won't stop. Got any extra sanitary napkins? Hey, I was just kidding. Come back.
次にふざけたことを言ったら、本当に血が止まらなくしてあげるわよ。
Sorry, this is serious. Alright, please hear me out.
何？ 言ってみなさいよ。
Let me borrow your computer.
は
There's something I need to look into. I'd like to be alone in the room if that's possible.
あ、何を調べるつもり？
Kind of a long story.
何の説明もなしに私がいいわよって言うと思っているの？
Point taken. Okay, I'll give you the executive summary. Someone took a few pot shots at the bakery where Makina works.
そ
Fortunately, no one was injured, but it's most likely harassment from the Branch family to make her quit her the job.
ついに行動に移し始めたということね。
That's the theory, but I can't say for sure who was responsible yet. That's what I want to borrow your PC to investigate.
いいけど、あまりおかしなサイトにはアクセスしないでもらえる？
I appreciate it. I'll let you know when I'm done, so you'll kill some time reading magazines under my bed or something. Right.
冗談よね。
Why don't you take a look and see?
まあいいわ。本当にあったら全部捨てるわよ。
Feel free. I guess Sakaki a little wave as she stalks out of the room. Wonder what sort of expression she'd make if I changed her PC wallpaper to a picture of my groin. Unfortunately, there's no time for such absurd pranks at the moment. I switch on the notebook computer sitting on her desk, then hunt around in my breast pocket for JP's business card as the machine boots up. Underneath a simple but professional logo consisting of the letters A and C overlapping, the words Asahi Clean LLC, Second Public Relations Division, and Hard Air Area, Section Chief, are printed in embossed type. In a smaller font below, there's an email address and a URL for the company's webpage. Once the computer loads its desktop, I immediately open a web browser, then type in the address. And just as you'd expect, a typical corporate front page for the Asahi Clean Company appears. Normally, I'd only be using this through our company's secure internal telecommunications network. But even using a normal public connection, it's possible to get access to our database through an emergency ID and login. However, the company is not quite so happy-go-lucky as to hand out such lovely authorization to a mere part-timer like myself. I click on a small user ID field in the upper right of the page, enter Julia000393, then move my cursor to the password field. At this point, I pause to stroke my chin thoughtfully. Well then. Closing my eyes, I recall JP's body in all its vulgar glory. I've been out of touch for quite some time, but I don't think these numbers will have changed that easily. One 172-9656-9855. Okay. I tap in the figures as I recall them, then click the login button. I'm instantly bounced back with a brisk incorrect user ID or password error. What? Oh, no good. Did she put on some weight? Mistyping the password 3 times will trigger an automatic warning to the company. I've only got 2 more shots at this. 589257. How's that? The moment I click the login button for the second time. The hard disk begins grinding away intensely as a new page automatically opens virus detection software to scan the computer. Bingo, she better watch that ice cream habit. After a minute or so, the browser window changes to a dry, functional terminal screen, empty except for a number of labeled tabs at the top. I select Vehicle Lookup, and a new frame pops up immediately. I quickly enter the car's manufacturer, model, color, and license plate number into the appropriate fields, then run the search. The result, no corresponding vehicle found. I had been more or less expecting something of the sort would happen, so it's not particularly discouraging. This time I try a search using only the license plate number, but again the database gives me nothing. Seems they weren't using a license plate borrowed from another vehicle, but instead a counterfeit or the random mishmash of a number. In which case, the only remaining hint would be that sticker in the rear window, I suppose. Wonder if searching under other might turn up something. Just as I'm pondering the next step, my cell phone begins to ring shrilly inside the pocket of my uniform. The caller should probably go without saying at this point. Hey there, JB.
ちょっとユージ、あなた今外からうちの広域通信網にアクセスしてるでしょ。
There was a little something I wanted to look into.
私の ID を勝手に使わないでっていつも言っているでしょ。
Let's not get too caught up on the little things, okay? Not to worry, I won't let anyone know you've gained weight lately, our little secret.
そういうことを言ってるんじゃないでしょ。
Oh, you sure about that?
だからって別に太ったことを言いふらしていいってわけじゃないわよ。っていうか太ってません。あれはその時々パスワードを変える必要があって仕方なく数字を大きくしてみただけで。
Who are you making excuses to here?
それで何を調べようとしていたの？
A motorcycle club named Blood Cherry, skull with a bomb in its mouth as a logo, probably affiliated with local organized crime.
そんなことわざわざ不正アクセスしなくても私に聞けばすぐ済むことでしょ。
Well, probably so, but it's not directly connected to my work for the company, so I was trying to show a little restraint.
遠慮。
What's with the tone of exhausted disbelief? You won't find many men more tactful than me.
はいはい。錯乱に暴力の暴でチェリーね。わかったわよ。私が調べておいてあげるわ。いつまでに調べておけばいいの？
Sooner the better, right now if possible.
今すぐ？
Yes, that's what I said.
あのね。
Look, JB, I tried to do it myself because I didn't want to make you sigh like that.
まったく。今すぐ調べればいいんでしょ？今すぐ。
Can you handle that?
何のための中央調査部だと思っているのよ。 できるに決まってるでしょ。
Sorry about this. You have my undying gratitude.
あなたいっつもそうやって感謝するって言うけど、本当に感謝してるの？
I'm always grateful to you, JB. After all, now that Asuka's gone, you're the only family I have left.
12分後に結果をメールするわ。
Thanks, Julia. It's not a lie. I really am grateful to her. Oh. When Asuka died, I nearly lost sight of the reason I was alive. Somehow or other, Julia gave me the courage I needed to get back on my feet. Precisely 12 minutes later, an email arrives in my inbox from a certain punctual German. Oh.
ほら、立てよてめえ。勘弁してくださいよマジで。俺ちゃんとやったじゃないですか。お、口答えとかしちゃう元気まだあんのかよ。んじゃまだボコっても死なねえよな。ほらすいません、マジ無理っす。勘弁してください。ったくどうしますか阿藤さん。ああ、なんかもう勘弁してくれとか言っちゃってんですけど、どうします？もう殺しちゃってもいいっすかね。
そりゃおめえ殺しちゃまずいだろ。人殺しはおめえいいくんねえよ。学校で先生にそう教わんなかったのかよ。
俺自慢じゃねえっすけど、学校とかまともに行ってねえから初耳ってやつですよ。
ああ、まあいいわ。ちょっとそいつこっち連れてこい。
ほらてめえいつまで寝てんだよ。起きろよボケ。
あ、いいですよ。そんな無茶引っ張んなくても自分で立ちますから。
お前誰だっけ？名前。
ただしっすよ、石川ただし。
ああ、ほいじゃったね、ただしくん。なんだおめえ、あれだおめえよ。ダメじゃんかよ、ちゃんと俺の言う通りにし。
だからちゃんと言われた通りパン屋に鉛玉ぶち込んだじゃないですか。何がダメなんすか。
だからよ、おめえちゃんと俺の話聞いてたか？俺はパクった車でやれってそう言ったよね。おい奥田。
へい、ちゃんと言いました。
だろ？焦った。言い忘れたかと思ったじゃねえか、この野郎。ざけんなてめえ。なあ、俺はちゃんとパクった車でやれって言ってんのに、なんでおめえそれ無視しててめえの愛車でかっこよく乗りつけちゃったの？何？俺の車超イケてんから見て見てって感じで目立とうとしちゃった感じ？
そんなんじゃねえっすよ。ただ車パクんのも面倒だったし、俺の車どうせナンバー偽物だしバレねえかなってちょっと思っただけで。
ダメじゃんかよ。なあおめえさ、そういうとこ全然おめえの間抜けな自己判断だよ。足がついたらどうすんの？おめえ一人がパクられんなら俺だって何も言やしねえ。でもよ、おめえがパクられてなんだほら真鶴
芋づるっすかね。
そう、それだよ。おめえ芋づる式ってやつで俺らまであげられたら そらシャレになんねんじゃねえのって話じゃねえのかよ。
すいません、勘弁してください。
ダメだなほんと。まったく暴走族なんかやってるやつはアホばっかりだよ。簡単なお使いすら満足にできやしねえ。お前ダメ、生きてる価値ねえよ。つか殺すのも面倒だよお前。分かってんの？
すいません、マジで次はもう失敗しませんから。
バーカ、次なんかねえんだよ。てめえみてえな使えないやつに杯やるわけねえだろ。
そんな約束違うじゃないですか。
おう、先に約束破ってくれちゃったのそっちじゃねえのかよ。てめえ調子こいてんな。
勘弁してくださいよ。この前もそんなこと言って結局杯くんなかったじゃないですか。
テレビだバカ。杯が欲しけらもうちょっと真面目に働いてちった役に立てよ。ねえおめえ、犬だって餌やりゃおめえよりいい仕事すんぞ。ああ、
ウィス
ウィッスじゃねえよバカ。てめえ真面目にやる気あんのかよ。
次は大丈夫っす。マジで俺気合バリ入れて真面目に頑張るっすから。
んだよったく。おめえ次失敗したらマジ死なすからよ。覚えとけよ。
えっす。
お、ああ、ダメだ。俺思い出しちまったよ。お前あれだ、他にも失敗し。
なんすか他にも失敗って。
おめえあれだ、昨日の夜俺が渡したチャカバーで女に見せびらかしてたろ。ありゃマジよおめえ。
あれはその
なあ、俺言ったよな、誰にも言っちゃダメだぜってよ。それがおめえときたら何よ。チャカ手にした途端何飲み屋で女に自慢とかしちゃってんのよ。バカじゃねえ。つうかマジでダメじゃお前。奥だ、こいつ殺していいよ。
勘弁してくださいよ。
何やってんだ奥だ。はよこいつ殺さんねえ。奥だ。奥だてめえ何寝てんだよ。起きろくれ。おい沢田真一、てめえふざけんな。誰だ、誰かいんのか。隠れてねえで出てこいやくれ。
Sure, Kai did go across Sumia Tosin, right?
誰じゃお前。どこにいる。出てこんかい。
What are you looking at? I'm right behind you. As the toe spins around violently, the back of my hand meets the tip of his jaw, and amplified by his own momentum, the boy jerks his head a good 90 degrees to the side. Quivering from the impact, the toe's eyes roll back in his head. He's unconscious before his knees hit the ground. Normally, this would be the point where you start kicking kidneys or crushing windpipes just to be on the safe side. But instead, I roll the three unconscious men over, tie their hands between their backs with high-strength nylon rope, then do the same to their ankles. As the finishing touch, I tied their bound ankles and wrists together, leaving them curled helplessly backward like 3 particularly puffy and unattractive seals. Honestly, first a detective agency, now organized crime, our friends at the Branch family are just full of lovely surprises. Surprised Yuuji found them. Sorry about the surprise attack. Couldn't go picking a fair fight with Yakuza, you know. I'd get kicked out of the house if I lost.
てめえ、何の丸だ。こんなことしてただで済むと思ってんのか。
Well, I suppose you wouldn't know. You people do take your pride pretty seriously. Even as I speak, I'm busily rolling up Ato's tacky lavender suit jacket. As expected, he's got a pull-through snap leather holster strapped on his left side, with a shiny silver automatic visible inside. Ooh, what's this? A Taurus? Aren't even the deputy underbosses are packing some pretty nice toys these days. I grab the weapon by the grip and give it a solid yank. The snap flies open with a metallic click, and the gun slides free smoothly and easily. The 9mm Brazilian pistol has been polished to a blinding sheen for some ridiculous reason. Combined with the pearl white grip he seems to have swapped in for aesthetic reasons, the thing almost looks like a toy at first glance. Look, Ato-san, the jacket was bad enough, but this is a bit much, don't you think? Silver polish and a pearl grip, there's bad taste, and then there's just posturing. I'd always thought villains only packed a flashy custom Taurus in the movies, but it seems my belief system needs revisiting.
てめえこれ何をする気だ。ふざけんじゃねえぞ。
I'm not messing around, my friend. Sorry, but you're going to be moving to a nice villa for a while.
No.
I hit the mag catch button with my thumb and remove the magazine, then pull back on the slide and peer into the chamber. It's empty. The heck's the point of having a fast draw holster if you need to take the time to chamber around before you can shoot. All show, huh? Well, whatever. Pushing the disassembly button with my forefinger, I rotate the lever downward, then advance and remove the slide assembly. After compressing the recoil spring and guide, I carefully pull the barrel free.
Nani? してやがる。てめえ。
If you can't tell by looking, there's no reason to waste my breath trying to explain. Once I've methodically arranged the disassembled components of the gun on the ground, I grab one of Ato's hands and begin applying his fingerprints to them.
おい、なんだ？何の真似だ？
You still don't get it. I'm getting your prints all over this gun. Most thugs clean their fingerprints off their pistols these days, but there's plenty of morons who forget to wipe the insides of the weapon as well. I'm having our friend Ato-san here become one such idiot. Naturally, I'm wearing thin rubber surgical gloves for every step of this procedure so as to keep my own finger oils to myself.
やめろ。てめえ、何考えてやがる。
You really want to know? Don't think I feel like telling, though. I'm a bit of a tease that way. I extract the 9mm bullets in the magazine one by one and carefully press them against the tip of Ato's fingers. After I'm finished applying his prints to the internals of the weapon, I snap the gaudy Taurus back together the way it was, then wrap it carefully in a towel. Okay then, I'll be on my way now.
これふざけんな！俺たちをこのままにしていく気か！
True, that might be a little much. Alright then, what was the name of that useless biker kid over there again? Ishikawa Tadashika? Or Tadashi, I don't know. I'll untie his ropes, so just have him help you out once he wakes up. I cut the nylon ropes binding Ishikawa Tadashi with a pair of scissors I bought at a 100 yen shop before coming here, then tossed them carelessly away. With the sound of Ato bellowing desperately as his comatose underling echoing pleasantly in my ears, I take my leave. Okay. Did he do it? Did he get him? Good job. Well then, I went out of my way to nab a tacky pistol from a Shuhokai underboss. Could just toss it in the window of a police station, but if Officer Bumble proceeds to drop it in the lost and found, my efforts will have been wasted. So what do I do then? The solution's elegantly straightforward. Simple as this. Step 1. Squeeze off a few shots at the police station. Step 2. Toss the gun into some random bush nearby. Step 3. Haul out of there. Nice and easy. Aboard police force is proof of a peaceful city, nothing to be ashamed of. That said, without the occasional bit of excitement, anyone would get complacent and soul on their feet. A little cold sweat's only healthy every once in a while. Doing good deeds really does make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. I think I'll be able to sleep soundly tonight. Yeah, I'm tired. And I'm tired too, Yuuji. After that, good job. It's been 3 days since the shooting at the bakery. Makina hasn't taken a step outside the school grounds after that incident. She's spending even more time inside the dorm than she used to. That said, she's not just moping around gloomily.
No 守護霊がウインナーなのよ。しかも赤いってどういうことよ。そんなこと言われても、だって見えたんだもの。チルチルの背後に赤いのが。はあ？つか意味わかんなくない？だって守護霊だよ。赤いウインナーって生き物じゃなくない？生き物じゃないのに霊って変でしょ。でもよく見るとカニの足？なんでカニなのよ。守護霊だよ。守護してくれる霊だよ。カニの足がどうやって私を守護すんのよ。
ですがみちる様、カニさんは一応生き物でいらっしゃいますし、食材として見ても赤いウインナーよりは数段上かと。
そういう問題じゃないよね。あ、違った。こいつカニじゃなくてカニ風味かまぼこだ。騙された。安くなった上に生き物から遠のいた。
しゃいますが、カニ風味かまぼこも元をたどればスケトウダラですし、みちる様の守護霊はスケトウダラであると言えないことも。
That's pretty funny.
どっちにしろ頼りないのは変わらないわよね。
まあまあ、まだ生ものなだけいいのよさ。ユミちゃんの守護霊なんて炭酸電池なのよ。
いいじゃないのよ炭酸。一番使い勝手がいいじゃない。
その評価もどうかとは思いますが。
Makina's at least acting like her normal cheerful self. But according to Amane's testimony, when the girl's alone, she often drops her head and stares at the floor, silently brooding. The cause is obvious enough. Anyone would be depressed after an ugly incident like that. And for that reason, I have an obligation to get off my butt and take action.
あれユージ、あんたどっか行くの？
Yeah, I got a job in the city today.
パパ。
Don't worry, I'll be back by evening. As Makina looks up at me with anxiety in her eyes, I thump my hand onto her head, then vigorously ruffle her frizzy hair around. Sachi, look after her for me.
はい、お預かりいたします。どうかご安心を。風見さんもお気をつけていってらっしゃいませ。
Yeah, I'll be back in no time.
パパ、本当に一人で大丈夫？
Just trust me.
なんなの？あんた戦場にでも行くの？
I'm going to meet Makina's mother.
マキなの？何しに？
I'm going to ask her to leave Makina to me.
それってプロポーズ？お嬢さんを私にください的なやつ？
Not even close, but it's surprisingly hard to define the exact difference.
何？本当に？あんたたち結婚すんの？
Like I just said, you've got it all wrong. Anyway, I'll be on my way now.
いってらっしゃいませ。
Since things have come this far, I have no choice but to talk directly to a figure of authority in the Arisu and appeal for a stop to this coercive campaign against Makina. Normally, that would mean directly meeting Makina's grandfather, the previous head of the clan, Irisu Haruchika, but the man sits at the top of a very high peak. It's hard to imagine I'd be able to secure even a chance to negotiate. What's more, precisely because he's so far above the clouds, apparently there's a good chance Haruchika doesn't know much about anything about the recent shooting incident. Seems strange that an acting head executive wouldn't know what's going on in his own organization, but on that point, Sakaki provided me with a fairly convincing explanation last night.
例えばそう、あなたが指の先に怪我をしたとしましょう。怪我をすればあなたは当然痛いと感じる。怪我をしたことには気がつくはず。でもその傷口に侵入した雑菌と白血球が戦っていることをあなたは意識できないでしょ？
True enough. Even if you're aware that the process is taking place in an academic sense, there's no way to grasp the exact details of that microscopic battle.
イリスケも同じことよ。イリスケを人の体に例えるなら、今回のことは指先に刺さったトゲに等しいわ。頭脳であるハルチカ氏は痛みでトゲの存在に気がついたとしても、白血球の活動までは認知していない。組織ってそういうものよ。
I see. Even so, I can't just let things stay this way. Fortunately enough, we're human beings, not cells. We should at least be able to negotiate.
だったらまずはイリスさんのお母様イリス・キヨカさんに会うことね。
Makina's mother, is it?
イリス家の総裁がハルチカ氏だとは言っても、事実上のイリス家を仕切っているのは祖母である初音さんと母親であるキヨカさんなのは有名な話ね。イリス家は女系の家なのよ。
Now that you mention it, Makina had said something like, "Tell him to Grandpa I won't do any good." I just assumed that she meant Haruchika-san couldn't comply with her request because of his responsibilities to the organization he leads, but maybe she meant that the man's a figurehead, lacking the authority and influence to help even if he wanted to.
ハルチカ氏にとっての最善が組織にとっての最善とは限らない。そんな時、最高意志の決定としての発言力を持つのは祖母の初音さん、そして母親の清香さんということになるわ。話し合いをしたいのなら、まずは日本国内の事業を仕切っている清香さんを相手に選ぶことになる。
とは言っても、そう簡単に会える方でもないと思うけれど。
It was a valid point, but as I'm always telling Makina, there's no chance of getting anywhere if you don't try. When backing down isn't an option, there's no reason not to test every option you have, even when you know the odds are wrong. Borrowing Makina's cell, I called her mother, but the woman didn't pick up the phone. After making several attempts at regular intervals, I finally left a succinct message on her voicemail. I need to talk to you about Irisu Makina. And this morning, I received a return call directly from Irisu Kiyoka herself. The woman was calling her daughter's cell phone, but a strange man answered. She made no attempt to hide her understandable mistrust. But after I explained that I was acting as Makina's representative, I seemed to earn at least provisional recognition, successfully convincing her to make time for a face-to-face conversation. In order to meet Makina's mother at 1500 hours this afternoon, I take the train alone from Mishima Cape Station into the city. My appointment's at the headquarters of the clan's core organization, Irisu Global. Although I said the city, the building apparently stands discreetly a good distance from Tokyo's core. I'm not fond of trains, but for Makina's sake, I need to try and settle this as quickly as humanly possible. After somehow toughing out 48 miserable minutes on 3 different trains, I spend half an hour walking the 10-minute taxi ride from the station to the Arisu Global building. And still managed to arrive 15 minutes ahead of time. Considering the scale of the Arisu Enterprises, the headquarters is a surprisingly compact 12-story building, not any different in size from a branch office in my company. From Sakaki's stories, I'd imagined a towering monument to corporate power and wealth, but this leaves a very different impression. Well, better than getting intimidated by the building right off the bat, I guess. I'd been a little concerned about being overwhelmed by some massive skyscraper, so this is a pleasant surprise. You always start off at a psychological minus when negotiating in the opponent's stronghold, so even a small plus like this is something to be grateful for. Drawing the necktie and my school uniform tight around my neck, I make my way quietly through the automatic door in the front of the building, then confirm my appointment at the front desk.
風見様ですね。ご予定は受けたまっております。こちらへどうぞ。
The receptionist, a worthy match for Komini Sachi in the utterly expressionless department, guides me to a bank of elevators. Where a woman in a clear, expensive dark red suit is patiently holding a door open.
清香様の秘書を務めさせていただいております沢田でございます。どうぞこちらへ。
Never even opening her eyes, Miss Sawada offers a perfect 10-degree bow. Returning a small nod of greeting, I enter the red-carpeted elevator as instructed. Sinking to my ankles in the long-haired carpet, I join my hands behind my back in the at-ease position. Miss Sawada moves quietly inside, turning her back to me to press the 112 button for the top floor. 12. Oh, that's pretty tall. On second glance, the panel only has buttons for the lobby and the 12th floor. Looks like this is a private elevator to the president's office in the penthouse. When we arrive a few seconds later, Miss Sawada simply murmurs, "This way," quietly, before setting off down the hallway. As I follow, I can't help confirming the positions of the windows and emergency exits as per my usual habit. Gazing outside the windows, I'm less concerned with the pleasant view than potential sniping points. This has got to be an occupational disease at this point, sort of like a patch of rust inside my mind that won't scrape off. The corridor the secretary leads me down only has one actual door. Inside, there's a modest room about 13 square meters in size, dominated by a desk that's built into the floor. A nameplate reading Sawada Hiroka stands on its surface. Presumably, this is my guide's personal office. In the very back of this room, there's a more imposing door made of thick, expensive-looking wood. Miss Sawada raps on it lightly with her knuckles, calling, "Kazami Yuji-sama has arrived, ma'am," to the person inside. And the answer she receives in return is spoken in a far more youthful voice than I'd expected. "Oh, hello." Miss Sawada opens the door and guides me inside. The moment I cross the threshold, I squeeze both hands into fists at my side, then click my heels together and stand at attention. Azami Yuuji reporting in. As Irisu Kiyoka watches me bow from behind her desk, her eyes open wide for just a moment. That startled expression strongly resembles Makina's. Not that I really suspected otherwise, but it's more than enough to convince me this woman is her mother.
よくいらしてくれました。まあ、そう固くならずに、まずはおかけになってくださいな。
As she offers me gentle, bland words of greeting, Irisu Kiyoka's eyes glance not to my face, but to my feet. My master once told me, women who look at your feet first need to be handled with caution. Okay. It's the sign of a person who judges a man's worth based on the shoes they're wearing. Their attitude changes dramatically based on that evaluation. Well, that's a little annoying. I'm wearing black loafers of the sort designated by the Mihama Academy dress code. And I was just about to call her pretty. Not high quality products by any means, but thanks to the habits I picked up in my workplace, they're so well polished you can see your face in them. So his worth to her is the shoes he's wearing. No, please don't take the trouble.
遠慮はいりませんのよ。いつも娘がお世話になっていることですし。沢田、冷たいお茶をお持ちして。
承知いたしました。
Miss Sawada bows as rigidly as a mechanical doll, then quietly leaves the room. As we wait for the tea, Irisu Kiyoka observes me carefully, the bright smile never leaving her face. After a long moment of silence, she abruptly opens her mouth.
本社という割には意外と小さな建物で驚かれましたか？
Well, yes.
ですけど、ここまで自社で完結した建物も珍しいのですよ。
In-house, man?
このビルを建てたのはうちの設計会社と建設会社なのはもちろんのこと、あなたがここまで来るのに目にしたものすべてがうちの商品なのです。ロビーに置かれた観葉植物や自動販売機の飲み物もそうですし、この部屋に来るために乗ったエレベーターもイリスの商品なら、極端な話、この会社で働いている人間もイリスの人間ばかりですから、ほぼ全てがイリス製と言っても過言ではありません。
Is that so? Are these words intended as some kind of boast, or perhaps a reminder that I don't have a single ally in this place? An implicit threat? Irisu Kiyoka, an expression of studied innocence on her face, begins to answer questions I haven't asked.
この日本の多くの人がそうと知らずにイリスの手のひらの上で生活しています。例えばそう、あなたが今朝食べたこんにゃくゼリーもうちの商品です。
I don't believe I had any, actually.
あら残念。最近の若い子の間でブームなのですよ。朝こんにゃくで元気をチャージっていうテレビ CM ご覧になったことはないかしら？ほら、男性アイドルの井口あすまが渋谷の駅前を歩きながらゼリーを飲んでる CM。
Unfortunately, I'm afraid not.
そう。じゃあせっかくですからお土産に一箱持って帰りなさいな。今電話をして用意させます。
I'm appreciative of your thoughtfulness, but I came here today as a representative of Arisu Makina, not a tourist.
代理人ね。失礼ですけれど、あなたはマキナとはどのようなご関係で？
We're classmates.
クラスメート？ただのクラスメートが個人の家庭の事情にここまで介入するのかしら？
I've received more than adequate compensation for my involvement.
報酬？ああ、そういえばあの子の口座から少しまとまった金額が引き落とされそうになったと聞き及んでますけど、そういうことですの？
It is indeed.
あら、そう。まあまあ、随分と大きな買い物をしたかと思えば、そう、あなたを買ったのですね。人様の子をお金で買うなんて、なんて子なのかしら。まったく。
I'm the abnormal one for allowing myself to be purchased. Please don't blame your daughter.
あら、忠実。あの子、いい買い物をしたわね。
お茶をお持ちいたしました。
お入りなさい。
失礼いたします。
Miss Sawada carries in 2 whole glass teacups and a wooden tray with an artful assortment of small cakes. Bending her knees carefully to the ground, she personally arranges them on the low table in front of us.
どうぞ、お召し上がりになって。
Very kind of you. I bring the teacup to my mouth, watching out of the corner of my eye as Sawada bows silently and slips out of the room. The tea has a rich, pleasant aroma, and a single sip spreads clean, simple sweetness through my mouth. If I'm able to appreciate its excellent flavor like this, I'm probably not dangerously nervous at the moment. Returning my cup to the table, I abruptly approach the main topic. In regards to Ryusu Makina, it seems she no longer has the slightest intention of returning.
いきなりそのお話ですか。
It is the reason I came here after all.
それで、私にどうしろとおっしゃるのかしら。
Makina has no interest in returning to the Irisu clan in any capacity. Therefore, I would ask you to bring the various forms of harassment being employed against her to a complete halt.
嫌がらせとおっしゃいますと？
Were you not aware that the bakery where she's currently employed had 4 live bullets fired at its shop front? Also, that she's
お
now
話だ
working
け
in
は
the
伺
bakery?
っております。が、あれは私の指示ではありませんよ。一部の過激な文化集の仕業ではないかと噂されてはいますが、詳細はまだ調査中とのことです。
Of course, I didn't come here with the assumption that you were responsible. However, you are capable of issuing an order to refrain from further extreme actions. This is an appeal for your assistance.
なんだか思っていたよりもつまらないお話ね。一つお聞きしてもよろしい？
I'll answer anything I can.
そのあなたが言うパン屋さんに銃弾が撃ち込まれた事件の実行犯とおぼしき人物が何者かの手によって拘束されていたところを警察に確保されたと報告がありましたが、もしかしてあれはあなたの仕業なのかしら？
How interesting. I can't say that I recall anything of the sort.
本当に？
Don't you think it a bit far-fetched to suggest a mere student like myself could possibly have taken such an outrageous course of action?
確かに普通の学生には無理でしょう。ではあなたは普通の学生なのですか？
You can see for yourself, ma'am. I am a thoroughly unremarkable dime a dozen student.
ではそんなつまらない人間にマキナは7000万円も払ったとおっしゃるの？
If you'll excuse my saying so, that has less to do with my capabilities and more to do with your daughter's exceptionally eccentric personality.
ならそういうことにしておきましょう。でもあなた
Yurisu Kiyoka leans closer to the leather sofa where I'm seated and gives the air a gentle but audible sniff.
とびきり凶暴な犬の匂いがしますわよ。
Do I really smell? I did bathe before my visit, for what it's worth.
骨の髄まで染みついた匂いがお風呂に入ったぐらいで消えるもんですか。まあいいでしょう。あなたの陳情は確かに聞きました。マキナに対して過激な行動を取らぬよう徹底させましょう。
I'm grateful for your understanding. Could I either seal on the settlement agreement?
あらびっくり。そんなものまで用意していたのですか？
Respectfully, a private verbal promise to a student doesn't amount to much.
わかりました。判を押しましょう。ですが、これはあくまでも私との話し合いで結ばれた示談とお考えくださいね。
What do you mean by that?
つまり、私自身はマキナに対して危害を加えるような命令や指示を出すことはありませんし、他の者にもそれを徹底はします。ですが、全員が全員私の指示に従うことは保証の限りではありませんという意味です。
But that makes your agreement all but meaningless.
もちろん私の指示に反して行動した者にはしかるべき責任を負わせますが、そう簡単な話ではないことはあなたも理解しているのではありませんか？そもそも先に拳を振り上げたのは宗家のマキナ派の人間です。分家の代表たるサリナを車ごと爆破されたのですよ。私が報復するなと言ったところで聞き入れる分家衆が何人いることやら。
I came here today in the hope you would find a way to make them listen.
こうも状況がこじれてしまえばそれも無理な相談ではなくて。
We're talking about your own child here, ma'am.
ええ、確かにマキナにしてもサリナにしてもどちらも私がお腹を痛めて産んだ子です。ですからどちらが家督を継いでも私は一向に構わないのですよ。
That's not the problem here.
一番簡単で確実にマキナの身を守ろうと思うのならマキナの身柄を本家に預けるのが一番です。内側に入ってしまえばさすがに分家衆も迂闊に手出しはできません。
But that's...
いくらマキナが嫌だと言ったところでそれが最善であることに変わりはありません。あなたからもあの子を説得していただけませんか？
That's not possible.
だったら私が直接あの子に話します。とはいえ私が直接電話してもきっとあの子は出ないでしょうし、あなたが電話してくださらない？
I can contact her, but unless Makina herself wants to talk to you, I won't be able to hand over the phone.
それでも構いません。
Very well. I take out my cell phone from my breast pocket and dial Makina's number.
パパ、どうしたの？もう話し合いは終わった？
No, we're still in the middle of our conversation, but your mother says she wants to speak to you. Would that be alright? You can just come up with some excuse if you don't want to talk. It's completely up to you.
わかった。話してみる。
You going to be alright?
電話でなら多分。
Understood. I'm going to give the phone to your mother now. Makina seems to be willing to talk.
あらそう。
Yuuji Kiyoka gingerly accepts the cell phone from my outstretched hand, then brings it to her ear.
もしもし、マキナね。私です。だから私ですって。何？よく聞こえません。もっと大きな声で。ですから、イリス・キヨカ、あなたのお母さんです。母親を詐欺と間違える子がありますか？まったく。
Probably not wanting me to overhear the phone call, Yuuji Kiyoka stands from her seat with my cell phone, then walks off briskly to the far window. What sort of a conversation can you possibly have with the mother you haven't even seen in 6 years? More importantly, was allowing them to talk directly really a wise decision on my part? But just as my impatience begins to develop into something like regret, Yuuji Kiyoka returns with my cell phone, having concluded her discussion much more quickly than I had expected.
どうもありがとう。こちらお返しいたしますわ。
Perhaps something of a clean freak, she holds out my cell phone pinched delicately between the tips of her fingers, as if handling something deeply unsanitary. Taking it carefully, I try to study her expression, but... The face of Makina's mother, a woman who's lived her life moving in the shadows of the Irisu Zaibatsu, reveals absolutely nothing.
結論は出ましたから、もうお引き取りいただいて結構ですよ。ご苦労様でした。
A conclusion? What kind of...
当人同士の話し合いで出た結論です。あなたにそこまで説明する必要はありません。
I'm afraid I can't be satisfied with that.
まだお分かりになっていただけないのかしら。あなたはマキナの代理人としてやってきておきながら、結局は当人に対話を委ねたのですよ。つまりすでに代理人としての権利を放棄したのです。ご理解いただけますか？そもそも代理人とはおっしゃいますが、それはマキナが勝手に起こした人間です。私が認めないと言えば、あなたには何の権利もないのですよ。
Certainly true.
よろしい。小野が微力をしっかりわきまえたのなら、 1階でこんにゃくゼリーをもらって学園にお帰りなさいな。
Not only am I supposed to go home without accomplishing anything whatsoever, you expect me to carry back a box of souvenirs like a complete idiot.
あらあら、その程度の認識を持ち合わせていらっしゃるのね。帰り道の途中で気づいて、もらったゼリーを投げ捨てるぐらいの若さを体験してほしかったのに。
I see. Quite the arrogant personality. This woman seems to have divided human beings into two clearly defined categories. She looks down on those who can't profit her in some way as garbage. Words won't get you anywhere with this type. After heaving a single quiet sigh, I rise from the sofa. Thank you for your time. I will return at a later date. With this announcement and a brief bow, I leave Kiyoka's office behind. I hope that went well enough. Downstairs, I politely refuse an offer of a car to the station, and naturally turn down the jelly souvenir as well. In the end, I leave with nothing but a painful reminder. Despite my somewhat unusual set of skills and experiences, I'm still nothing but a powerless student. On the walk back to the station, my legs feel far heavier than usual. The thought, why did I even come here, weighs me down like a backpack full of lead. The woman said a conclusion had been reached, but it's not clear what results that strangely brief conversation will ultimately produce. Is it really alright to just let things take their course like this? Fighting off anxiety, the scent of something vaguely fishy tickling the back of my nostrils, I make my way back to the dorm where Makina waits. Bye.